I bought a couple of these Latrax Teton trucks to have some fun with my step-grandchildren, and they have been a lot of fun, and I've learned a lot about them, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks for maintaining them and sort of give a parts list as well. My experience with these is they're pretty tough, but they do break. Now, if you're wondering why these cars have such battered bodies, it's because we have a dog who likes to chase them, and she'll grab them and sink her teeth in, and that's why we have some teeth holes, some fairly big ones too. But that's all part of the fun, and it's worth mentioning here that these can actually handle some abuse from dogs. So here are the two with the bodies taken off, and you'll see that the motors are different. On the original one, we have a brushed motor and a nickel metal hydride battery. And on the other one, I ordered off eBay, I think it was around 68 bucks, sort of a high performance kit. And I think it was around 68 bucks, and you get a motor and an ESC. And it improves performance quite a bit, but it also takes its toll on other components. The first thing that's likely to break on your Teton are the shocks. And I've got a couple of tips and tricks here for showing you how to maintain the shocks and not have to replace them. They're little cheats, but they work. So the first thing I noticed about this car is that sometimes the cap here will come unscrewed, and if that happens, let's see if I can get it off, all the oil will leak out. And this one, when it came off and it was sort of flopping around, I thought, oh gosh, it's broken, I'll have to order some more. And there was oil everywhere, but then I found out that you could just screw it back on, and with holding this part with a pair of pliers, you can tighten it right up. So we just take some pliers here, hold on to the collar, and then just give it a good tighten, and your shock is back together. It's no longer a dampened shock, it's just a spring. The dampened shock has a slightly different motion, and I'll show you that in a moment. Now, the other thing that you have to bear in mind is that, I saw this on a YouTube video, is that most people have flipped the shocks over to get more life out of them, and I've tried that myself, and I'm having good results. So that's something to try as well, is they come from the factory like this, on here, and like so, and just pop them off and flip them over, and you'll get more life out of them. And you can see it's a relatively easy task to take these on and off. Pry them off with a flathead screwdriver, and then just pop them on with your thumb. And so that's the first thing. So here's a demonstration of shocks that have had the oil leak out versus the shocks that are still dampened. On this one, the oil leaked out of the two front shocks, and this is your action. And on the back one, the oil is intact, and this is the action. As you can see, it's a much more dampened motion, but in reality, they work just fine without the oil dampening, and they handle just the same, in my opinion. Now, on this model, I had a crash, and these little round collars here popped off, and I lost them. And again, I thought, well, I got to go buy some shocks. But I found a way to repair them, and it seems to be working. And I will eventually get some proper shocks to replace them, but here's what it looks like with the repair. So you can see that I've taken some plastic from a juice jug and cut circles and then popped them on. So here's what the little homemade collar looks like. It's just a piece of plastic that cut out of a juice jug. To shape it, I just use a pair of snips like this and just cut it into a circle. And then what you do is you drill a hole in the center after that, and then you just make a little cut there, and then you can just slide it onto the shock like so. Now, the spring doesn't ride perfectly along the shaft, but you still have a functioning spring. with a little plastic-free fix. So if you're handy with tools, it's pretty easy to do. So that's another way to avoid replacing your shocks. So there's the repaired shocks installed, and you can see that the suspension works pretty well. It's definitely a workable fix. So absolutely cheap solution, a juice jug and a pair of snips, like so, and you're done. Another item which can fail on these cars, and I've had one fail on me, is the steering servo, which is down in here. And it's accessed by taking off those two screws there and there. There and there. And it's a little tricky getting it on and off, but if you have a good screwdriver, and you must get a good screwdriver if you're going to take these cars apart, otherwise you'll strip the screws. Believe me, from personal experience, get a good screwdriver. I found this screwdriver set on Amazon. It's kind of a nice little package here. I originally bought them to take apart a MacBook Pro, which has a very strange Pentastar screwdriver fitting. And so I ordered this screwdriver set so that I could have the Pentastar end. And then it turns out that the Phillips screwdriver that came with it, this one, right here, was a very, very good screwdriver for working on Latrax. So I recommend you get a precision screwdriver set. Otherwise you're going to be stripping screws and pulling your hair out. So when you go to replace your servo, your steering servo, I strongly recommend you get the one with the metal gears, because the plastic gears strip out quite easily. I've already replaced one servo on one of the cars, and this one has metal gears inside and not plastic gears. So these are, I think they were about 38 bucks each, so a little bit pricey, but they shouldn't fail on you if you have the metal gears. So the modified car has a Lipo battery pack, a 2-cell, and the stock car has a nickel metal hydride battery pack. Both last a surprisingly long time. Every run is 15 minutes or more. However, the nickel metal hydride battery takes 3 hours to charge, and the Lipo battery takes about 30 minutes. So if you want to keep doing runs, I would recommend you do the upgrade and get a Lipo battery. And they seem to last longer too. I would say that this battery outperforms this battery for the actual time spent running. The other thing that I noticed was on this car, you can see the nickel metal hydride battery is in there, and it doesn't stay in place very easily. It just flops around, and they give you this little clip here, which you put like this, and then it involves putting another little a little pin through there, and I find it kind of cumbersome. So I instead use a roll of tape like this, electrical tape, and the quickest and easiest way to secure that battery is just to take a chunk of tape like this and just tape it in place like so. And then the battery's firm and it won't come out. But if you want to persist with this little plastic piece, I find it a little gimmicky and stupid. The nice thing about using the Lipo battery pack instead of the nickel metal hydride battery pack is it's a little bigger, a little squarer, and when you pop it in, it's in. It doesn't move around, it doesn't shake out, and so there's no need for tape and there's no need for the little clip. So that's another advantage to hot rodding your Latrax Teton, is that the battery pack is it fits better than the stock pack. The other thing that can break in your car, and broke in one of my cars, it happened right after I hot rodded this with the brushless motor, was it was making a funny clicking sound whenever I drove it. And it was driving me crazy. I thought maybe it was the main gear, but it turned out to be the rear differential. So here are the parts of a differential kit, which you can buy from your hobby store or from Horizon, I guess. I always get them from my local store. There's your components for a new differential. Don't be intimidated. They're not tough to replace at all. And you can see on this one, the ring gear has some rounded teeth on it. And here you can see the main gear has some rounded off teeth. And that's what was slipping. You can really see it there that the teeth have been basically stripped. So this gear is toast, and I replaced it with another one. And like I say, they're about $12, I think, at the hobby shop for a replacement kit. I recommend you buy more than one. Another thing you will discover if you buy one of these Teton trucks is that the tires are not glued onto the rims, and they come off very easily. So if you take some super glue, and what I did was I just pushed the rubber away, put a dab of super glue in three or four different spots around the rim, inside and out, and glue them on, and then you will find that you don't have to keep getting the tires put back on the rims, which was a royal pain, but very easily fixed with some super glue, and the tires never come off anymore. Another thing to mention is these little half shafts are weak, and you should order some spares. This one, the pin fell out, the actual pin fell out, and I was able to repair that by snipping off a piece of coat hanger wire, pushing it through the hole, and super gluing it in place. So this one was repaired only once, and it's still holding. It's actually stronger than stock. So another thing that will keep you running if your supply store is far away or you don't want to wait is that you can just super glue a short piece of coat hanger wire, glue it in, and you're good to go. Another cheap repair. So that about does it. My little tips and tricks video to help you along if you buy these trucks. They're hobby grade, they are super fun, they're really fast, and they're quite tough. But don't buy them thinking that they won't break, because they will. And I think I paid about $150 Canadian each for these, and good value for money, highly recommended. Okay, so the car on the left is the hot rod car, and the red car is the stock car with the brushed motor. So this is brushless versus brushed. On your marks, get set, go!
Whoopsie, I went the wrong way. Take two.
This is the brushed car at maximum throttle doing a burnout. Okay. This is the brushless setup doing a burnout.